YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, back on Total War Rome 2. And this time we're going to jump into a Rome vs. Arverni battle. This is my pre-Marian army, or one of them. I brought slightly different changes here. The Equites are just kind of a bait and switch for his cav, and then the Saki Equites is meant as my killing power. So I'm going to move up in triplex Aces formation, which is going to be pretty standard whenever I'm using the pre-Marian Legion. And the reason for that is because I usually use the Hastati for some holding or charge absorbing to let my much more cost-effective and powerful Principes do the beat down. I've got Syrian archers in this army, which some of you get mad at saying they're not pre-Marian. I get it, but I'm sure the Romans could have had access to some sort of archer in the pre-Marian period, so I bring them. Then I've got 3 Triarii, 5 Principes, 3 Triarii, Legatus. Yeah, so, and then my Saki Equites is hidden on the other side of this hill. So I guess these Romans learned from Hannibal the value of doing some, I guess, deception. So immediately I see some noble horse and heavy horse making their way up this hill, and I really do not want them to spot my Saki Equites on the other side, because if they do, it's going to ruin my trap. So I send this Equite out here just baiting my opponent into an attack. I'm like, please, please, please come after him. And so he does. And in the meantime, I see this naked warrior pop up, and I wasn't even paying attention on this flank, nor here for that matter. I was busy trying to micro away over here, and my Equites over here just get caught and slaughtered. But it did keep my Saki Equites a secret, which means they can now be used. Now, my opponent was rushing me with the Arverni. I didn't expect this, but I don't know why I expected anything different. And he's used war dogs to help keep me from retreating. So he's released 2 units of war dogs on my troops. So I go ahead and go after his front line with my Hastati as planned, and my Hastati are going to get massacred. But they're going to slow down the enemy advance, and at this point I'm busy reacting, trying to bring my Triarii to the rear, get my archers back to safety, and also go support against this cav fight. And I took all of my Triarii out of formation attack for the remainder of this fight. Probably should have taken my swordsmen out too, but sometimes it's okay to leave them there. They may not do as much killing, but they will hold longer, and in this case I need them to hold because my Saki Equite is kind of my secret weapon. So I leave 1 Equite and a couple of Triarii back here in the back. And then I've sent this Triarii over here, which is now going to end up getting attacked by a chosen swordsman, 2 of them. So I'm going to have to reinforce with the Principe, which will be good. This Principe will do very well, and this Triarii will actually do better than you think. And I've got another one up here for protection. I'm going to try and use my archers to get a few kills. Chosen swordsman in the woods, not going to be a very easy thing to do. I go ahead and drop loyalty of the 10th just to make sure that my guys stay in this fight as long as possible. And I'm now being approached by this enemy Oathsworn who already tanked out a Hastati unit. So these guys are already in kill mode right now. And you can see that right now my opponent's killing a lot more men than I am, but I'm going to try and even the fight out. So yeah, I've got his cavalry pinned back here. He gets caught by Triarii, which is a mistake. And then over here, he's going to actually charge into my Triarii, which was a huge mistake. He's probably trying to get to my archers, so I'm going to have to run. But right here, check it out. Saki Equites, even after my Hastati rout, land a killing blow on those naked warriors. I killed 48 men without losing a single Equite there. And so I'm going to continue charging around with my Saki Equites, but here's the kind of above view. The fight's taking place in the woods. The Arverni definitely moved to outflank me, but I'm holding my flanks now and just trying to save my archers and my general during this fight. But you can see that my flanks are holding for the time being. And he's let his heavy horse get killed basically here by my Triarii. And now this heavy horse is going to try and make its way into my Syrian heavies. Good choice. But I am going to give chase with some of my other units. I am going to have to be careful though. My Legatus got temporarily engaged with this heavy horse, but my guys are doing just fine for the moment. And the Saki Equite Extraordinary just got another nice rear charge on those naked warriors, basically killing them. And now he's going to start chasing me with the Levy Freeman because he sees the damage this unit's doing. It's got 68 kills already. This Equite out here is actually doing phenomenal. Like, I charged into these naked warriors and destroyed a bunch of them, and then he finally came from behind with heavy horse. But it's going to take him a while to finish that fight off. All the while, again, my Saki Equites are going to keep moving and looking for rear charges. So even though they're cheap shot cavalry, they're good shot cavalry. And look at this unit of Hastati. Managed to hold out all this time. I got an outflanking maneuver with the Principes, who are now doing very good. And I'm still holding this flank with some Principes, chasing off his noble horse, which was unable to finish off all my Syrian archers. I've still got 2 of them, and my general still lives at full strength. Yeah, you can see my men in formation attack, able to hold off these Gallic units for a long time, even though the Gallic units are getting more kills. He does come here to intercept my charge. I did not give a charge order with my Saki Equites. It was just a move order, which is why I have to pull out. So that was a huge mistake. I could have killed a ton of these chosen swordsmen on that downhill charge if I would have done it right. But I've still got really good steam going with him. 68 kills, and the fight up front is starting to stall. The enemy Oathsworn is back to fresh though, because he's used a very nice general's ability that has the second wind. So nice job on his part. He has to bring this Chosen Swordsman up to assist, and it just leaves these Chosen Swordsmen wide open for this impending rear charge here, which the Saki Equites are going to excel at. Again, even though they're a cheap shock cavalry excels at this type of fight, and they are going to massacre these Chosen Swordsmen. So that Saki Equites is now up to basically 100 kills for only 10 losses, so those guys are easily paying for themselves right here. Now I can just pull out of this fight. Those Chosen Swordsmen do get off a volley of javelins, and then right here he's got a Chosen Swordsman held up with my Triari. Not an easy unit for him to kill. His Oathsworn's about the only thing that can do it easily, and his Noble Riders are being kept away from my back lines. Actually, I don't know if he realized that my guys were in the back here and his guys were inside. That could have been a very nice rear charge for him, but he didn't take it. And he continues to chase my Saki Equite with his Levy Freeman, who now runs straight into my Triari, and they're held up. And I'm going to start firing into the rear of this Chosen Swordsman, and then I'm going to continue to run rear charges with this Saki Equite, so just racked up a bunch more kills with it. So doing great with this unit, up to 106 kills, 109, and his units are still chasing. Now his Noble Horse gets in behind me, and I see an opportunity to trap it. Again, he wants to go for my archers or my general. I'm going to just use my general to pin him. Actually, my general's just going to sit there and take it. I must have been microing other units. Anyway, he gets involved in here with my general. I drop the general's ability, even though it won't really do much good, just in case he dies. But then look, opens these guys up for a Saki Equite charge. And I'm going to kill a bunch of the Noble Horse, and now they're pinned with Triari. So now one of his last remaining Aura units is dead. But his general is still alive. Even down to 60 men, his general's still alive. But you can see it's taking them so long to cut through my Principes in formation that it's really serving my purpose. Again, my opponent is killing more men than I am. He's definitely killing more men than I am. But my army was bigger, and I can fight this war of attrition, whereas he cannot. And he wasn't able to land any decisive rear blows. He did do a good job initially outflanking, but his guys weren't really able to seal up that flanking maneuver and get to the rear of my troops. My Triari and other units managed to hold the flank until my Saki Equites got to work. So now if you think about the Saki Equites, I've killed several sword units, finished off a Noble Horse. It's got 115 kills with half of its men remaining. That was only at original price of 800, so that's really not bad at all. Anyway, you can see the overhead. He's got a few Chosen Swordsmen left here and a few out here, and then his Oathsworn General, which is still fighting here, and probably will get its headhunt back soon. I've already used Loyalty of the 10th, so that's not an option. I'm going to repin these Chosen Swordsmen here with more Triari just to make that fight last even longer. And then right here, I'm going to go for another rear charge. I have to go through the trees, which will slow me down a little, but still going to get a nice rear charge on these guys who are fighting my Principes. And so the kills on my Saki Equites jump again. And we're going to route another unit, which is going to free this Principe, and this Principe can now get into the back of these Chosen Swordsmen, who after seeing their friends falter, are going to also want to route. Downhill charge into Savage Dogs. My opponent hadn't thrown these guys into the melee yet, which I think was a big mistake. They could have done some very, very nice outflanking on this unit right here and probably turned that fight. But for whatever reason, he wasn't able to use those Savage Dog handlers effectively. Saki Equite is now up to 150 kills. So a lot of kills, and that's the exact purpose for that I brought them. I let my opponent engage his cavalry first before I brought them out, and this basically let them roam at will and do their damage. So generally when I bring shock cavalry, I like to bring fairly small numbers of them and try and use them to best effect. You know, it doesn't always work out, but yeah, these guys really tanked it out. And his Oathsworn survived basically up here until almost the last man. They were down to 30-something men. Whole army had routed before they routed. So the Arverni are an infantry-heavy faction. My opponent did a really good job bringing this army, and for the most part, I mean, you can see the kills there. He killed more men than I did. It was very close. I had more men in the end, which saved me. I had 480 more men, and the kills were very close. So again, his army was good, and I like that he caught me off guard with that rush. I didn't scout his units properly, so I didn't see that I was about to get rushed, and all my Hastati were lost with very little effect. So that's something that I think was a big mistake. And knowing that I was going to probably fight an infantry rush from the Arverni, it probably would have been a good idea for me to bring a couple of cheap Vigiles. Maybe get rid of one Hastati and bring like a couple of cheap Vigiles just to put in huge thin lines out in front of my men, and it would have absorbed the charge of those better units so that I could go in afterwards and mop them up. But anyway, again, I thought he did a fairly good job. But look at this, 154 kills on the Triari. That's impressive. This one 120 and still has almost all of its men. 4 of my Principes did very well. And then if you look at my Hastati, 1 did well. The others got annihilated, which is too bad because they can be good in the right situation. Saki Equite Extraordinary doing a fantastic job. An extraordinary job. Anyway, my opponent's Oathsworn tanking it out. I didn't have much else that I could answer this guy with because of the way I got charged. His dog's actually getting a surprising number of kills. I don't know what they killed, but potentially worth it based on the number of kills that came out of him. His 2 naked warriors, probably not so much. Close with this one, not so much with this one. Actually, 47 kills on a Levy Freeman's pretty nice. Celtic Warriors with 61 kills is also pretty nice. And then 3 of his chosen swordsmen did well. But his cavalry, this one got quite a few kills, probably some of my skirmishers. But the rest of them just not really able to make themselves worth it. Anyway, it's a fun battle. Hope you all enjoyed it. And really, I just wanted to kind of show you the merits of the pre-Marian Roman army. And what I mean by that is it's very forgiving. It's not going to win you games necessarily against super competitive players. But if you're a new player, Rome is a very forgiving faction. And the reason I say that is because you don't even have to bring the pre-Marian army. I mean, you can bring pretty much whatever kind of army you want, but you saw how much Roman infantry I had and how affordable it is. Yes, there's ways of killing it. No, you're not going to win every battle that way. But it's a forgiving way to fight the fight. Roman infantry is very stout. It can hold its own for quite a while. It's just something that you probably ought to keep in mind. Just wanted to throw that out there. One other thing I wanted to throw on the end of this video real quick. I fought a 2v2 not too long ago that ended up not being the best for footage, but it was an interesting thing. It was a high funds battle, and I brought the Lusitani and was thinking to bring a bunch of Lusitani nobles to be smart, but of course our opponents brought Sparta and brought a bunch of royal Spartans. And I was thinking to myself, you know, what would have been better here? Because the Lusitani got destroyed. With that many royal Spartans, they just can't tank that out. Royal Spartans can beat the crap out of Lusitani nobles. So I was just curious, and I was like, you know, I wonder what happens if you bring a Evocati cohort that costs basically the same as a Royal Spartan. So basically I put 4 chevrons on it, which now gives it 70 attack. Anyway, I was just curious how this was going to work. So in this case, the Royal Spartans will stay in formation attack, and I am also bring up my general. Just because the Royal Spartan has the aura, this will make all things equal, basically. So I'll bring my general up and let him use his aura to support. I am going to take my guys out of formation attack, though. And I am going to countercharge the Spartans because they're going to charge me. And the Spartans will win the charge. It's funny how the thing says they're a low threat to my Evocati cohort. I disagree. Depends on how they're used, and the AI probably will not use Spear Wall either. But this was just a curiosity test, and just watch this real quick. So the Royal Spartans won the charge, but it's already evening out for the Evocati cohort because of their high attack. Again, this is without Spear Wall. The Spear Wall will make a difference for your men, and then the Spartans haven't used any of their special abilities yet either. My guys are out of formation attack, keep that in mind as well. But just wanted you to see this, how attack balances out with defense. But as you can see, well, the AI just ran away too, but they were losing the fight. You can start to see it turning in the favor of my men. Again, no hoplite wall, the Spartans stayed in formation attack. But this was just curious to me, like if you ever get in a high funds battle, I'm not necessarily saying it's the bee's knees, but I mean an Evocati cohort with some chevrons is a pretty nice way to go because it gets extremely high attack, maintains high armor, gets a little bit better defense. It's not going to be very good on the charge though, but still, I mean, not a conclusive test trying to say that it beats it outright. I'm just saying that when you look at it, it's kind of an interesting way to counter Royal Spartan spam, which is probably what you'll see when you go into those large funds, because why not? They're fantastic, and they can barely be killed by skirmishers and other stuff, so it makes sense. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that at you. In huge funds battles, Sparta is actually a pretty tough nut to crack. They don't have a lot of cavalry, but they can bring some insanely powerful spear builds if you get into the huge funds. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing off for now. Hope you all enjoyed it.